Check, check, mic check.
Good morning. கேக்குறதா? So, welcome to this month's edition and this year's first lecture of வராகமிஹிரா சயின்ஸ் ஃபாரம். சப்ஜெக்ட் தமிழ் கம்ப்யூட்டிங்கிறதுனால கொஞ்சம் தமிழ்லேயே பேசலாம் அப்படின்னு இருக்கேன். இன்றைய பேச்சாளர் டாக்டர் கு கல்யாணசுந்தரம், தமிழ் பேசும் நல்லுலகம் முழுதும் அறிந்த ஒரு மாபெரும் ஆளுமை. சுவிட்சர்லாண்டில் ஒரு கெமிஸ்டார் இப்போ தான் ரிட்டையர் ஆனார் லாஸ் ஆனதில். அவர் வந்து கெமிஸ்ட் அப்படிங்கிறத விட இந்த ஃபாரமில் வந்து தமிழ் கம்ப்யூட்டிங் அப்படிங்கிறதுல ஒரு முக்கியமான பங்குடையவர். அவருடைய 1990களில் டாஸ் உலகம் முழுக்க கொஞ்சம் பரவின போதே டாஸில் வந்து இங்கிலீஷில் மட்டும்தான் இருக்குது, இது மாதிரி வெஸ்டர்ன் யூரோப்பியன் லாங்குவேஜஸில் மட்டும்தான் இருக்குது, மற்ற மொழிகள்லையும் வரணும்னு அப்போ சில ஆர்வலர்கள் அவரை உட்பட தமிழில் வந்து டைப் அடிக்கிறதுக்கு சில சாஃப்ட்வேர்லாம் உருவாக்கினாங்க. எனக்கு அப்போ பழக்கமானது வந்து, நான் யூஎஸில் இருந்தேன். அப்போ நான் காலேஜில் படிக்கும்போது ஆதமி அப்படின்னு ஒன்று இருந்தது. ஆங்கிலம் தமிழ், அதான் அதோடைய சுருக்கம் தான் ஆதமி. அது டாக்டர் ஸ்ரீனிவாசன் ஒருத்தர் கனடாவில் இருந்தார். அவர் வந்து பண்ணியிருந்தார். அவர் திருப்பாவை முழுக்க அதில் டைப் பண்ணியிருந்தார். நான் முதல்ல உருப்படியாக திருப்பாவை படித்தது அதில் தான், வீட்டில் கேட்டுக்கிறதோட. அப்போ அதில் வந்து டைப் படிக்கிறச்சே என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, ஏதாவது ஒரு வார்த்தை பழகணும்னா டைப் அடித்தோன்னா அது டைப் அடித்து ஒரு கம்பைல் மோடில் தான் அது வெளியில் வரும். ஸோ நம்ம செந்தமிழ்நாடுன்னும் போதினிலேன்னு டைப் அடிக்கணும்னா இங்கிலீஷில் SCNTHAMIL அப்புறம் ஸ்பேஸ் நாடு NAADENUM இந்த மாதிரி டைப் அடிக்கணும். அதை முழு கவிதையை டைப் அடிச்சுட்டு ஒரு Ctrl+K Ctrl+R அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒரு லெட்டர் போட்டு காம்பினேஷன் போட்டிங்கன்னா அடுத்த ஸ்க்ரீனில் அந்த தமிழில் அந்த எழுத்து வரும். அப்போ நம்ம என்னெல்லாம் மிஸ்டேக் தப்பு பண்ணியிருக்கோம் அதில் தான் தெரியும். இந்த நான் போட்டிருக்கோம், நான் போடுறா, நான் 2 சுழினா 3 சுழினா, வல்லினரா இடையினரா, இந்த மிஸ்டேக்கு, கால் விட்டு போச்சு, குடுமி விட்டு போச்சு, எல்லாம் அப்போ தான் தெரியும். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி சுச்சுவேஷனில் இருக்கும் பொழுது அது ஒரு பர்டிகுலர். அதுக்கப்புறம் கொஞ்ச நாளில் விண்டோஸ் வந்துட்டு, அந்த டைம்லேயே விண்டோஸ் வந்துட்டு கொஞ்ச நாளில் விண்டோஸ்லேயும் நிறைய பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. அப்புறம் ஆப்பிள், யூனிக்ஸ் எல்லா பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்லேயும் பை 90s. ஸோ கல்யாணசுந்தரம் சார் அப்போ வந்து ப்ராஜெக்ட் மைலைன்னு எடுத்து மைலை ஃபாண்ட் ஒன்று க்ரியேட் பண்ணி அதில் அவர் சொல்வார், இப்போது திருக்குறள் இதெல்லாம் அப்லோட் பண்ணி. ஆனால் அதுக்கப்புறமா தான் எனக்கு தெரியும் ப்ராஜெக்ட் மதுரைன்னு ஒரு லேட் 90ஸ்ல அவர் உருவாக்கினார். இந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் மதுரை உருவாக்கின அப்புறமா தமிழில் இருக்கிற எல்லா இலக்கியத்தையும் ப்ராஜெக்ட் மதுரையில் ஏற்றணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவர் வந்து ஒரு முயற்சி பண்ணார். அதுக்கப்புறம் பல்வேறு முயற்சிகள் நிறைய நடந்தது. அதெல்லாம் பற்றி அவர் இன்னைக்கு சொல்ல போகிறாரு. அப்போல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஆரம்ப கட்டம். இன்டர்நெட்டே வந்து நிறைய பேருக்கு வந்து வேர்ல்டு வைட் வெப் வந்தப்போ தான் தெரியும். 96ல் 97ல் தான், அதுக்கு முன்னாடியே வந்துடுது. 96 97ல் தான் ரொம்ப டேக் ஆஃப் ஆச்சு. இந்தியாவில் வந்து ஒரு 2005லேருந்து ஒரு செமி ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபோன் வர ஆரம்பிக்கிறச்சே கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் சில பேருக்கு இன்டர்நெட், அதெல்லாம் யூடியூப் அதெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் வர ஆரம்பிச்சது. கம்ப்யூட்டரில் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கவங்க ரொம்ப, கம்ப்யூட்டர் இப்போ இந்தியா பழகினவங்க ரொம்ப குறைச்சல். தமிழில் வெவ்வேறு ஃபாண்ட், வெவ்வேறு சாஃப்ட்வேர் எல்லாம் வந்தது. நம்ம வராமிரா சயின்ஸ் ஃபார்வர்டுடைய பத்ரி சேஷாத்ரி கூட அவருடைய நியூ ஹாரிசான்ஸ் மீடியாவில் ஒரு ரைட்டர் ஒன்று கிரியேட் பண்ணார். பல்வேறு பேர் பண்ணாங்க. என் கணேசன் ஒருத்தர் இருக்கார், இன்ஃபிட்டுக்கு இந்த வருஷம் சேர்மனாக இருக்கார். அவர் கலப்பைன்னு ஏதோ ஒன்றுக்கு ஃபண்ட் பண்ணார். இப்போ போன வாரம் கூட கனித்தமிழ் அப்படின்னு ஒரு கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் நடந்தது. அதை பற்றியும் சார் பேசுவார். அங்கே இன்னும் முத்து நெடுமாறன் போலவர்கள்லாம் பேசினாருங்க. அவங்கெல்லாம் நிறைய பணி பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ இதையெல்லாம் பற்றி பேசுகிறதுக்கு அவர் வந்து சமீபத்தில் சவிதா இன்ஜினியரிங் காலேஜ், நாங்கள் அண்ணா யூனிவர்சிட்டி இது மாதிரி சில அரசு இயக்கத்தோடு தான் ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம், மற்ற காலேஜுக்கும் அப்ரோச் பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லி கேட்டும்போது அவரோட நானும் சவிதா காலேஜுக்கு போய் அங்கே ஒரு சொற்பொழிவு கேட்க ஒரு வாய்ப்பு கிடைச்சிது. அப்போ அவரை கேட்டுட்டேன், இங்கே பேசுகிறீங்களா சார் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அவர் வந்து ஒரு 2-3 வாரம் தான் இந்தியாவுக்கு வருவார் வருஷம். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு ஆர்வி சொல்லியிருந்தார், இப்போ தான் அவர் கரூருங்கெல்லாம் போயிட்டு ராத்திரி முழுக்க பஸ்ஸில் வந்து இன்னைக்கு காலையில் இறங்கியிருக்கார். இந்த அரங்கத்தில் நம்மளுக்கு இந்த டாப்பிக்கில் பேச ஒத்துக்கொண்டதுக்கு நான் மிகவும் அவருக்கு நன்றி கடன் பட்டிருக்கிறேன். சார், உங்கள் உரையை கேட்க வராமிரா அறிவியல் மன்றம் ஆவலோடு இருக்கிறது. வாருங்கள்.
பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு, அப்போ தானே சிம்பிள்.
பின்னாடி யூஎஸ்பி, பின்னாடி யூஎஸ்பி. ஆன் பண்ணுங்க. பவர் பட்டன் This is top is back, bottom is forward.
ஓகே, அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். முதல்ல I want to thank Gopu for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. நான் வந்து சென்னையிலே பிறந்து வளர்ந்தவன். அதனால் என்னதான் நான் தமிழில் பேசணுன்னால ஆரம்பித்தால் 4வது 5வது வார்த்தை அது இங்கிலீஷுக்கு போயிடும். ப்ளஸ் almost 40 years I'm living outside. I don't get much chance to talk in Tamil. So that's மூணாவது, when you technical topicல பேசணும் ஆரம்பித்தா it becomes. So I'll be talking both mixed in Tamil and English. So please bear with me. அவர் கோப சொன்ன மாதிரி my interest in Tamil computing started about 30 years ago. Tamil computingனா என்னன்னா, சுருக்கமாக சொல்லணும்னா, கம்ப்யூட்டர் கணனி ஆல்வேஸ் இங்கிலீஷில் பயன்பட்டு இருந்தோம். பட் தெர் இஸ் நோ ஃபண்டமெண்டல் ரீசன் வை வி கேனாட் யூஸ் இட் இன் தமிழ். ஸோ அதனால தான் ஆரம்ப காலத்துலேருந்து almost 30 years ago in 92, 93, I got interested in அது கூட ஐ ஷுட் சே இட் வாஸ் ஆக்சிடென்டல். அப்போ தான் இணையம் இப்படி பயன்படுத்துகிற இணையம் அப்போ தான் ஜெனீவாவில் சர்ஜன் தர் யூரோப்பியன் ரிசர்ச் லேப் இருக்கு. அவங்க தான் முதல்ல இந்த வெப் ப்ரோட்டோக்கால் அங்கே தான் முதல்ல டிசைட் பண்ணாங்க. இந்த இப்போ ப்ரௌசருக்கு முன்னாடி யூஸ் டு பி கால் மொசைக் கோஃபர் ப்ரோட்டோக்கால்னு. ஸோ அப்போ நாங்கள் டெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம், டெஸ்ட் பெட்டு. ஸோ அப்போது வி வர் டெஸ்டிங் சம் ஆஃப் த வெப் ப்ரோட்டோக்கால். அப்போ டெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கும்போது two things became obvious. One என்னன்னா, I was that like one of my French colleague, அதை பேசிட்டு இருக்கும்போது we had some problem in rendering French characters. கேட்டபோது அவர், உங்கள் இந்தியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ் ஆர் மோர் காம்ப்ளிகேட்டட், ஹவு டு யூ ஹேண்டில் இட் அப்படின்னாரு. அப்போ தான் யாரோ சுற்றி தள்ளாட்சமாக இருந்தது. அது வரைக்கும் I never thought of using Tamil, even though I went to the US in 73. So for 20 years I was using computers, but then never thought of using in Tamil. So our cat out of the app, I know we can use it, but then I don't know, I never used it. So I need to look into it அப்படின்னு அப்படியே விட்டுட்டேன் அன்றைக்கி. பட் 2 வாரம் கழிச்சு அவர் he brought me a software to make fonts. And he said, Kalyan, here is a software to make fonts. Now you show me how your script looks on the screen. அப்படின்னாரு. ஸோ அது வரைக்கும் I was not more into. So I said, why not, what the heck. So I spent a couple of months. அப்போ தான் my wife சென்னையிலேருந்து வந்திருந்தாங்க. அமிர்தசரவி கலைமகனுக்கு முதல்ல கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. ஸோ to make a font you need to make the drive bitmap. அதுக்கப்புறம் you make a outline font. So I took a couple of months to get it working. So அப்போ தான் I made my first Tamil font called My Line. And so to see how it working, I typed a whole Tirukkural verses. Weekend Tirukkural படிச்சுட்டு I sent it to some friends in the US and India also, and some in Europe. இந்த மாதிரி here is the Tamil font, here is the test file. Font install பண்ணிட்டு tell me if you can see it on the screen and print it on a postal printer, because I could get it to work. And so that's how I got into it. So because it was more from the internet developing up and how to put contents on the net, அப்படின்னும் போது இன்டர்நெட் மூலமாக தமிழ் போடணும்னா there are 2 things. ஒன்று என்னன்னா, you need to have a font which is available free. கம்ப்யூட்டருக்கும் தமிழ்னு இருக்குன்னு தெரியாது, அதனால no computer had Tamil fonts in it. Second, அப்போவே you have Windows, Apple Macintosh, and many people at the university, they even use Unix, Linux computers. So if I create something on Windows, I to somebody on Mac, then the data transfer across platform should be clean and independent. So தமிழுக்குன்னு ஒரு என்கோடிங் இல்லை, அதனால we are kind of hacking English and coming through the background-னால that we had to be very careful which character you put where. So there was some scrambling. So the first thing we need to make sure was that whatever I create in one should be able to read in the other platform. ஒரு தப்பு இல்லாமல் வரணும். So that was the challenge. But then it was second thing, and சொன்ன மாதிரி you should have the fonts available free. So அதனால I made my life font on Mac, Windows, Linux. So ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் I sent it somebody, அவன் ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு கொடுத்துட்டு, then at one time நான் மார்னிங் போனால் I had 30-40 mails asking people to send the font. So I said, okay, I will create a website since I know how to create one. So I created a website where people can download the font so that I don't have to spend time sending. So I also get, so that's how I came into this. So I will talk a little bit about, so this is how, so I would like to take you through 30 years of what the issues are when you want to use computers when you didn't know that Tamil existed as a language. Okay. So just few lines that when you take over 50 years, the computers evolved. So when I started in 73, Fortran, I used, you had the mainframe and then you had the mini micro. That time it called PDP-11 workstation. So I started using micro mini, and then you have a desktop PC came, and then you have the portable laptop, and then you have smartphones. So over the time you have the miniaturization. So today our mobile phones are a lot more powerful than, for example, in 85, looking back in Boston, I paid $3,000 to buy to one of the first Mac Plus. அது பார்த்தா ஸ்பெசிஃபிகேஷன் நத்திங். யுவர் ஃபோன் இஸ் லாட் மோர் தேன். அதில் ஹார்ட் டிஸ்க் கிடையாது, எதுவும் கிடையாது. ஐ ஹேட் அ ஃப்ளாப்பி டிரைவ் 720K to that I paid $3,000 way back in 85. So the miniaturization, speed, cost, everything has come down. And because you have the laptop and now everybody in there, now the usage has become more common and also more necessity. ஸோ ஆல்மோஸ்ட் என் 70லாம் அவர் கோகுலாம் யூனிவர்சிட்டியில் படிச்சுட்டு இருக்கும்போது மெயின் ஃப்ரேம் தான் பீப்புள் யூஸ் இட் மோஸ்ட்லி இங்கிலீஷ். ஸோ த கம்ப்யூட்டர் வாஸ் கண்டெம்டு டு do scientific stuff. I think that's the way we learned and using. But then common layman usage was never there, nor the big systems were not designed for that. So then you have the different platforms. You have the Unix, you have Mac, and then you have Windows, and now you have the Android. So again, if I were talking about creating one and sending it to somebody else, then it should be platform independent. அதோட பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் the computers were slow. We used to call 7-bit level, and 7-bit means 2 power 7, 128. So the characters were encoded in a table of 128 slots. And the computer, the basically was 0 and 1. So when I say hello, how are you, it doesn't go as hello, how are you. And you take English table, where H-க்கு 38, O-க்கு 47, and then you send the number string. The number string again is in the binary mode 0 and 1. So I have the whole electrical signal going as 0 to 1, a long string of 10,000 zeros and 1. And the computer breaks it in blocks of 7. And then it reads corresponding number. So when I send hello, how are you, in the first it goes into the binary mode, and then other end you do the reverse to get the message back. So ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் everything started at the 7-bit. But then the computer became more powerful. They became 8-bit, 8-bit, 2 power 8, 256. So now we have more complex characters. Even the English was usable to European languages. A with accent, umlaut. And also now you can handle strings of 8. And then became 16, 32, 64. So today, if you have the Windows system, you can install in 64-bit or 32-bit. Even many applications, they even ask you whether you want to have it a 32 version or 64 version. So if you have a powerful Intel processor, you can even use a 64-bit, which is basically meant for handling a bigger data. So we have the processing speed increased, cost came down, size also came down. So the same thing happened in communications with the phone. We have the fixed landline, and that went to mobile phone. We have 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G. And so this also merged. And surely today my mobile phone is as much a computer, as much for telecommunication, as well as browsing. So it's all in one. So we have this merger of computing, which was a separate big beast, and then you have fixed landline, They all mesh together, and that's what we are. And so if you're talking about walking along and enabling Tamil, again, you have different systems with time. You have different interfaces. So now Tamil, compared to Kannada, it has a long history. Tamil is a classical language, 3,000 years. And so a long time back, it was a script called Brahmi script. So the Tamil was never written the way we write them. So we have early Brahmi, late Brahmi, and then we have the current Vatteltham சொல்ற மாதிரி we have the one which is less than 1,000 years old. So the language, speaking சரிந்தா கூட the script form evolved with time. And actually Tamil is evolved considerably. 2,000 years ago, it's like a Greek alphabet. There is even Madras Christian College, there was a Professor Giftis Suromani, he is no more. And he has written a nice small book about evolution of Tamil script forms. அதில் போய் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவர் திருக்குறள் பாண்டியன் காலத்தில் எப்படி எழுதுனா சேர காலத்தில் எப்படி எழுதுனான்னு பார்த்துட்டு அதை படிச்சுட்டீங்க. கற்க கசரன்னா கூட பாண்டியன் காலத்து ஸ்கிரிப்டில் பார்த்தா யூ கேன் நாட் ரீட். ஏன்னா அதெல்லாம் இந்த மாதிரி எழுதி ஸ்கிரிப்ட் ஃபார்ம். ஸோ தட்ஸ் an interesting book where you can see how the script evolved. ஸோ திருக்குறள் அவர் முதல்ல திருவள்ளுவர் இதே நம்ம எழுதுமா எழுதினா இல்லை. The script was. So my interest is the preservation of heritage information and probably whatever it is. Then we need to be aware that we have a contemporary version, but then even if you're talking about contemporary version, the Periyar reform, you have the Lai, Nana, we now use a different version. So we should be able to handle that also. So we want to deal with inscriptions also. So we need to have different Tamil fonts catering to different periods. So going back, in 60s when computer came, we had this American script. So all they did was they took this 128 table, they put uppercase A to Z, lowercase A to Z, and then all the punctuation marks. And the first 32 is control characters. File எங்க ஆரம்பிக்கிறது, file எங்க முடியாது, line return, and all these things which define the details about the file. So this is how they defined right in the beginning when computer was start using. Even today, the English is stored according to this table. So for every number, letter or character, there is a number in the table. So when I say hello, then it pulls out from this table the number string, and that's what it goes. Okay. So if I wanted to do in 93 with the computer, didn't know, it knew ASCII, but it didn't know the other language. So what we did in the beginning was, I take in English font times Helvetica, whatever, and then I remove all the English characters, and I put Tamil characters. So I can load the font and I can see things in Tamil. And it worked very well. So I made this My Life font where I put Tamil characters in different places. There again the question of எந்த எழுத்து எந்த இடத்துல போடணுன்றது. I chose to put a phonetic Y. Pa is under P, M is under Ma. So APPA appan அடிச்சார்னா Roman. So if I use a QWERTY keyboard, I can type APPA, then it will come in Tamil appan. So the layout I choose was phonetic according to the English keyboard. Okay. But then, so this is the font I made, and I created a website, I said. So this is the Bhardiya songs that you see. That was the script. My Life font was displaying like that. I still have this remnant font still around. But they look like that, so you could make a very nice font to read, make a readable text. And this is where I made Tirukkural and all. I sent it to people to print them. And so this was around 93, 94. As I said, the computer at the time didn't know that Tamil existed. So I was coming backdoor from ASCII. So அதனால if I send a mail in Tamil to somebody, அதை ஓப்பன் பண்ணால் it will maybe open always with the English font. So I need to select the whole text and then I choose the Braille font. Then it will show you in Tamil. Because at that stage, computer didn't know the language. So I was backdoor. Okay. So there are other people also started using, because I was distributing the font free. It was available on all platforms. And at one time, I even helped Kanayari, Nakiran, Vigadan, Kumudam to come online, because so they all wanted to come online. The problem was that Vigadan, they were using their own font. Kalki was using their own font. So the calculator, when he wanted to come online, they have all the data in the Kalki font. So he said, okay, you can put it in, but if you want to, you have to distribute the font free. So அதனால தான் ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் we had many magazines which came online, but they are all using their own font. ரெண்டு ப்ராப்ளம் ஒன்று என்னன்னா, the computer did not Tamil. It did not Tamil because there was no official encoding. So we call character set. So there is something called IINA, International Agency, where you can go register your encoding. All the computer companies, Microsoft, Apple, they implement all the encodings which are in the IINA registry. So that's the reference. So if your encoding is, so they were 93, Cyrillic was there, Hebrew was there, and so you had Turkish was there, many other European languages were there because they registered their character set. So the computer companies, they implemented them. So it took a while for Tamil to do that. So, but then ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் the lot of Sri Lankan community, they used what called a Bhamini font. This was based on the Tamil typewriter. Tamil typewriter was there known for a long time. So Tamil typewriter use பண்ண பழக்கிறவங்களுக்கு Braille font phonetic is not. So அவங்களுக்கு, so they made a font which is based on the Tamil typewriter. அவங்க அடிச்சு, the only problem என்னன்னா தெரிஞ்சது தான் அடிக்க முடியும். இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கா ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்கும், பா ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்கும். ஸோ தமிழ் டைப்ரைட்டிங் அடித்து பழக்கம் இல்லைன்னா இதை யூஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. பட் தென் ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் கற்றுக்கிறவங்க, they start learning, then you can do that. So Canada, the lot of Sri Lankan Tamils, even today, they all use this typewriter keyboard layout. So that was another one which became popular at that point. So அதுக்கப்புறம் when the computers became 8-bit, Europeans wanted to have their own encoding, like A umlaut, all the accented characters. So the 7-bit was extended to 8-bit. So they took the normal first 28 as in English, but then below they added all the European characters, accented one, Cyrilla. So now this one became a bilingual font. So now I can create a text Tamil and French, in English and French, English and German. So I can, in principle, create a multilingual document. As long as all the characters I use, they are within that block. That's how in 80s and early 90s, we started using French. When I went in 79, they always had even the German umlaut never came as a single character. So it was a little bit awkward to even, because it didn't render properly. That's how I said when I was talking with my French colleague, we were worried about how to get the European languages right. And that was this, it's called Latin one encoding. And then Government of India came, and then that's why we will also define a 8-bit encoding. It was called Indian script code. for information interchange. Scheme. And the ST again is a 8-bit scheme. It had the English on the top, and at the upper 128, they put Devanagari. And it's called an umbrella standard because it's the same scheme for all languages. Gujarati, Gurmukhi, idhula irukna, you just replace with the Gurmukhi ga, but the scheme was always the same. And this is a scheme which Government of India introduced. And so this is what they were using to print, for example, water list. But Tamil Nadu border, they can print it in Tamil or Telugu or in Hindi, Devanagari, Gujarati, Gurmukhi. So government, mainly for water list and all they used. So you have one scheme. So the data is stored the same way, except that Krishnasamy can be printed in Gujarati if you want, it can be printed in Telugu. They all, because they all. ஸோ அதில் வந்து ஹிந்தியில் என்ன காக்கா காக்கா இருந்தது தேவநாகரியில், தமிழில் கிடையாது. ஸோ அதனால் மீதி இடம்லாம் காலியாக விட்டுட்டாங்க. ஸோ தேவர் ஆல் லாங்குவேஜஸ் ஆர் பண்டில் இன் டு இஸ்கி. ஸோ இட் வாஸ் கால்ட் அம்ப்ரெல்லா ஸ்டாண்டர்ட். த ப்ராப்ளம் என்னன்னா, they never bothered to register ISKI. Even today, ISKI is not registered. So அதனால ப்ராப்ளம் என்னன்னா, only the computers, government computers in India understand ISKI. Outside India, the computers don't know ISKI because it's not in the IA India registry. But then they were using for internally. It's just ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் Vigadan was printing. They went to computer typesetting, but then nobody felt the need for a standard. So people who made the fonts, it's a mistake even for me that when I made and polluted the world, I never thought about that people should talk together. We should all use the same encoding chart. And this is the problem even today with the Indian script code. So அதனால Tamil, when I put my life, there was a friend of mine in Singapore, Muthudamaran. He made one font called Nemadi, where he put characters the way he was like it. And Singapore, there was Nagovindasamy there. He put his own. America, Kupsamy Nuttandar, he put his own. So everybody modeled, all made their fonts, but they put it in an arbitrary way. So the problem is, நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி விகடன் பேஜ் படிக்கணும்னா விகடன் ஃபாண்ட் வேணும். அந்த மாதிரி நான் கோவிந்தசாமி எனக்கு ஒரு ஃபைல் தமிழ் அனுப்பிச்சேன்னா he had to send me with the font, இல்லைன்னா I cannot read it. So this was a problem in the beginning. We had a lot of information on the net, but they were not. So we need to have a font converter. So if somebody sends me a file in Vaudeville and I want to convert it into Unicode, I need a converter. So for example, there are many sites where the way to get around it is to have a universal text converter. So if I want, I can convert any data from anybody. So even at a Tamil conference regularly for a long time. And I remember one time I was talking with one Professor Fred Gay from University of California, Berkeley. He is a professor on anthropology, social studies. Our original brute force he collected gigabytes of data, Tamil data. Sir, the problem is I can't run a one search engine to search. பாரதியாரை பற்றி ஆடனா 20 இணையதளத்துலேருந்து அதை பற்றி இருக்கு. But they are not in the same font. So it is a nightmare that I have a lot of data, but I cannot use it because they are in 50 different encodings. So I wrote some converter for him. So I said, well, you all convert them to one encoding, and then you do your search on that encoding. And that is the way, in the beginning, we solved the issue. So In 1997, we had the first international conference in Singapore. Since I was already making a lot of noise about standards, that's our Tinvi in Singapore. He invited me also to attend the conference, and Sujata was there. And we were sitting and discussing about our Tamil Kudimanna, Appadan Tamil Nadu Minister for Culture. Our one of the conference. So we were all talking about defining a standard for Tamil. So we had a roundtable discussion with the Sujata chat. As we all said that we all should sit together to define an encoding for Tamil. So 97, I came back after the meeting in August. I wrote to Sujata, that's all, we should start a mailing list, get everybody who is in there. And we spent a couple of months to define, finally worked out this encoding called the Tamil script encoding called TISCI. It took 3 months. Everybody agreed. It was like a ISKI or Latin one. You have the English on the top and the Tamil at the bottom. One thing when you talk about this kind of encoding, என்னன்னா தமிழில் இதில் 128 ஸ்லாட் தான் இருக்குது. தமிழ் உயிரெழுத்து உயிர்மை எழுத்து உயிர் எல்லாத்தையும் பார்த்தோம்னா 256 260 இருக்குது. இதொன்னா 260 ஸ்லாட் இல்லை. So I need to have a simplified way of representing. So most of the time we do is we have the Tamil typewriter மாதிரி. தமிழ் டைப்ரைட்டரில் கீ இருக்குங்களா, அந்த கொக்கு. ஸோ கா அடித்தா கீ, பா அடிச்சு கொக்கி அடித்தா பி. ஈவன் உயிரெழுத்துக்கள் இக்கீச்செல்லாம் கூட அந்த எஃப் வாஸ் அ டெட் கீ. எஃப் அடித்தா புள்ளி வரும். ஸோ கா அடிச்சுட்டு எஃப் அடித்தாருன்னா இக்காகும். பா அடிச்சுட்டு எஃப் அடித்தா இட் வாஸ் அ நான் மூவிங் கேரக்டர் ஈவன் இந்த டைப்ரைட்டர். தட்ஸ் ஹவ் இட் வாஸ். அதனால் கீனாக்க இவங்களுடைய கொம்பு மட்டும் இருக்கும் தனியாக. யூ கேன் ஆட் இட் எனி. அதே மாதிரி தான் கோப்போ இந்த காகல் கொம்பெல்லாம் தான் தனியாக இருந்தது. ஸோ இப்போ டிஃபைன் திஸ் ஆர் மாடிஃபையர்ஸ் நோ. ஸோ vowels, consonants and the modifiers, then I can get everything. And that's how பார்த்தீங்கன்னா you will see the vowel, consonants and the modifiers. That's what they are in the encoding. But then this time we said we would register it. So to register for IANA, they want a documentary proof that people across the world use it. And there are a lot of information on the net. Otherwise, they don't register any encoding of Tam, Dick, and Harry. So we need to wait for 2 years for a lot of people to use them, a lot of websites. So then we had to provide documentary evidence so that we have 700 sites, you have so many megabytes of data, plus so many universities, websites. They are based on TISCI, and then finally so even today, TISCI is the only Indian language encoding which is in the IANA registry. So we can be proud about it, but that's history that no other Indian language, including Government of India, have done this. So that's so even if you go to IANA registry, you look for Tamil, you will see TISCI there. So at one point, the computers, they will start supporting TISCI as it was doing English. So we are getting a stage around 2000 where a Tamil document will be automatically displayed using Tamil font without tinkering around. Then we have the multilingual Unicode kit. அதுக்கு முன்னால் in 97 and 99 when we had the conference, 98, the Tamil Nadu book publishers, they didn't like this TISCI. The reason என்னன்னா when you printing, when they make cover, they make front bold, they make outline font or bolder outline. இந்த மாதிரி கால் கொக்கி சேர்த்தான்னா இந்த போல்டில் இட் கம்ஸ் 2 செப்பரேட் கான்டூர். கா மட்டும் தனியாக வரும், அந்த கொக்கி மட்டும் தனியாக வரும். அது இட் லுக்ஸ் அக்லி. ஸோ தே செட் தே வில் நாட் unless you come up with a scheme where all vowel, consonant, உயிர்மை எழுத்து எல்லாம் இருக்கிற மாதிரி 256 8-bit scheme இப்போ கொண்டாங்க. then we will use computer. அது வரைக்கும் டைப் செட்டிங்லேயே they didn't want to shift to computerized typesetting for printing industry. So I was part of the Tamil Nadu government IT task force with Sujata, Muthu and all. We have a lot of discussions. Finally, we said we will define a 8-bit monolingual encoding. So 99, the government issued a GO, a monolingual encoding. So now printing press, they can print. So now with this, the call ko, pu and all is already encoded as a separate character. So there is no issue of merging characters for that. So this was again, we need to do this monolingual encoding in 99. And then along with that, they wanted to have a keyboard. Professor Pannavaika was there. And they wanted to have a simplified way of typing Tamil. You type a weir and may, so it will automatically it will pick the compound characters. So this was again the government of India, the Tamil Nadu, that declared as an official standard. And then the Unicode came. So internationally they said we don't want to deal with one block for every language. You have 100 languages in the world. So it becomes a nightmare for computer companies to deal separately with one encoding, more encoding. And the computer is more powerful. Now we are talking about 32 bit, 64 bit. They said we will take a table of million blocks and we put all the languages together, starting from ASCII. And so every language is allocated a 128 block, so that all languages will be in the same encoding. Bill Gates was in India one time. He said that we don't have people in Microsoft to deal with Indian languages, so you have to help support the Indian languages. So they pointed him to CDAC in Pune, which was the electronic agency for Government of India. They said, no problem, we have the ISCI encoding we are using internally. Nobody ever bothered. Now if you are coming, you can take our ISCI and you put it part of the Unicode. So that's what they did. So they put one block for every language, but then the characters are put the same way as it was in Unicode. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா காக்கு அப்புறம் 3 இடம் காலியாக இருக்கும். ஏன்னா தேவநாயக காக்கா காக்கா இருந்தது, தமிழில் கிடையாது. So they left a lot of states in the language. Tamil Ra is a, so they added at the end. So for a long time, people in Tamil Nadu never wanted to use the Unicode, even though it was one scheme, because they said that it doesn't respect the language order. Na comes after na. நடுங்கணக்குன்னு சொல்லுவோம். கற்றுக் கொடுக்கும் போது காக்கா தான் சொல்லிக் கொடுக்கும். We don't teach as arbitrary scrambling. Even ASCII போனாலும் they stored it as ABCD, not A, P, Q, B, D and all. ஏன்னா பேக் எண்டில் sorting is very fundamental for computing. So அதனால் keeping the language order is very fundamental. That's how in English they put A to Z. Even Devanagari, they put it in the Devanagari language order. But then it turned out that Dravidian languages don't follow the same. So we'll end up with this awkward scheme where we don't respect the language order. But the problem was that the Unicode and MNCs outside India, they were moving a lot more faster than the government machinery was moving in India, Tamil Nadu, including Tamil Nadu. That when they realized that this double block does not represent the Nalanganaku order, it was too late. Already around 2000, Microsoft released Windows 2000, which already had implemented this one. And so when Tamil Nadu government said, no, we want to rewrite the block, they said no, because the Unicode one of the basic policy of Unicode is that they will not rewrite any block. So we had a long 10-15 years acrimonious discussion. But even today, nothing happened. It's there because they said that once implemented, we can find a way around. But the argument was today the computers are a lot more powerful. So the not respecting the language order in ANA, you need to do some more additional work, sorting. They said this should not affect performance-wise. In the Unicode was very thing that maybe 50 years ago, yes, but not today. So there was the main issues with the Unicode encode vowels and consonants. And then you had vowel modifiers. And the character assignment was based on ISKI. So the Nadukanaka order was not respected. So this got a lot. For more than 10-15 years, we had the Tamil Nadu government itself didn't, even though in 2000, Unicode, Microsoft came with the Windows 2000 with Tamil support. None of the government officers they used. For 10 years, they continued to use the 8-bit. At that time, they used a font called Vanaville. Even today, there are officers where they prepare documents in Vanaville, 8-bit encoding. Even though around 7-8 years ago, the government of Tamil Nadu has issued a specific GO that all government documents should be in Unicode, not anymore in Vanaville. But still, even one time I was talking with some people, they say, then unless the district collector, they say, I won't sign any document if you bring in Vanaville. And you throw back the guy will go and change it. But as long as the government officials don't understand the importance of encoding, as long as the guy comes something which is readable, he signs over it, the system perpetuates to time. So this is the problem we had for a long time. So finally in 2010, there was one Michael Kaplan. He is no more, unfortunately. He was one of the prime movers for Indic languages. So he was there in Coimbatore, Samay Manadu. And at that time, a lot of people knew. So a lot of people sitting in the front row, they were the strong government opposition candidates. So we had a lot of discussion in for 3-4 days in Coimbatore. And Kaplan explained that we can find a way around. And then finally, everybody said that time to move on because you can't reset the clock. Now you are only slowing down all technological development because the encoding is very basic because that is how the data is stored. So we cannot talk about advanced applications if we still don't agree on how we are going to store. So anyway, after 2010, more or less, and then the government issued a GO with Uday Chandran there. You had a lot of arm twisting with him, and finally he issued a GO that Unicode will be the working official standards in spite of all the limitations that people talked about. So people didn't like. So for the now they depend also on 16-bit encoding called TACE. There is also another one which is called Tamil all character encoding. Here all the vowels, consonants, everything is there as one. And it is also a government standard, except that nobody uses them because the Unicode comes in there. But there are still people here in Tamil Nadu who are very emotional about how you deal Tamil, and they still lobby that you should create a document in TAS. We have a converter to go between Unicode and TAS, so it's not a technical issue that if somebody prepared a document on TAS, which you cannot deal again like 8-bit, it won't deal because TAS is not registered yet in the IINJ. So the Windows today doesn't know about TAS. There is a GO. So this is a problem which I tell many times people that You can be a sovereign state, sovereign country, blah, blah. From technologies, passing your GO doesn't mean anything for MNCs. They have the international standardization agencies. So the crowdsourcing, networking, and this is the way for 20 years, all standards for internet are developed. So I keep telling the people that this is the way you need to go beyond. And some people, they get very emotional and then they put them down. Tamil, nobody is going to tell we deal Tamil. I said, go ahead. Then at the end, you are like a frog in the well. The data is not transport across. So this is an issue we still face today. But this is the other one. So that's about that Tamil encoding. I want to talk about other things. So I can go on forever, but just to give you a feel. So now there are a lot of people talking about, okay, now I can want to store old epigraphical data. So for example, Vinod Rajan and all, now they have now, even there is one Udaya Shankar here, probably many people know him. So Udaya also has made many epigraphical fonts. So now today, these fonts are there, so you can even store their collecting database of epigraphical inscriptions, where you can display them, store them, display them the way they are, except that still they are not registered. We don't have an epigraphical database in the IANA, but we are at the beginning stage where we need to prepare test, and there should be a lot of field data before IANA accepts it as a global standard. Okay. So we are moving towards that. In addition to dealing with the contemporary scripts, we also want to deal with the ancient scripts. Okay. So up to now, this is the phase one. Operating level system support. So everything I'm talking about was, we started with no encoding, Miley, and all this 7-bit, 8-bit Unicode. And so that's, I also talked a little about IT and the internet, because it's also related to the encoding. So if you use standard encoding, then you don't have to tinker around. The web page will be displayed. So this was not the case, I said, in around 2000. When you open a Kumalam page, there's no guarantee that you will see it in legible text. Okay. And one interest for a long time in the beginning, in Malaysia, Singapore, is computer-aided teaching and learning of Tamil. Even though in India, even now, it's not that. One reason is that in Singapore, Malaysia, laptops was there in every house. Everybody was using it. And iPad was very common even in school kids. So in Singapore, Malaysia, the Ministry of Education, they have been pushing a lot for kids to use. So they already have been working on having all Tamil educational materials in a digital form, dictionary to textbooks. The plan was that the kid will just go with the iPad to the school. He will do all the homework, send it by email, no longer carrying a big backpack with heavy books. That's an Indian version, but what they want to have is eventually a virtual classroom where all the information will be digital and with the free net access. It should be a problem. So they have been, so for many years we have an annual conference on Tamil computing. And we always had teachers from Malaysia, Singapore, from primary school. They're talking about new multimedia tools they have developed, how they are using Wikipedia to do the homework, things like that. So they have been even in the primary school, they learn the kids to use and type and send homework through the mail. And I don't know how many they do it now here in India, but you need to have universal access to do that, and also free net access. Okay. So this has been also going on for a while. So the goal is this virtual classroom where everything is digital. We call Tamil a Mainiyar Vahuparayanam. Okay. So as I said right in the beginning, I met Tirukkural, And then afterwards, for Margari Samitla, I did Tirupavai Tirumbai, blah, blah. And then one time I typed Thevaram. And when I was typing Thevaram, I was in Chennai. I wanted to buy books which have all. Hikkinabadams, wherever you go, or 300, 200, 300, Thevaram எடுத்த வழிய, I was looking for the whole Nambiandar Nambi Pannir Tirumurai. Nobody has it. It's not a question of money. I can pay $1,000, but there's nobody there to sell. You have them only in the libraries. Saiva Siddhartha, Paripuram, Parijalayam, they were all published one time, but they stopped publishing them. So what you have today was in the library. So I found a very frustrating that we brag so much about our heritage, but so when I was even, I knew Gandhi Kadadasan, so he took me around. I was even talking with the ஓனர் ஆஃப் த சேவை சித்தாந்தன்னு இருக்கிற முத்துக்குமார் சாமி. அவர் ரூமில் மாடி கூப்பிட்டுட்டு போய், ஐயா இன்னைக்கு எல்லாரும் நாவல் தான் படிக்கிறாங்க, சுஜாதா சிவசங்கரி நாவல், இந்த ஒரு பஞ்ச் ஆஃப் திங்ஸ். கிளாசிக்கல் லிட்ரேச்சர் சக தமிழர்களை படிக்கிறதுக்கு ஆள் கிடையாது. இப்போ எது இப்போ உரை அதான ஒரு உரை புது உரை போட்டான்னா அது 200 காப்பி பிரிண்ட் பண்ணால் அதுக்கு ₹1,00,000 ஆகும். அதாட்டு ஒரு 100 காப்பி விற்றான்னா ஒரு 30-40 லைப்ரரிக்கு விற்கிறோம். அட்லீஸ்ட் நாங்கள் பிரிண்ட் பண்ணுறதுல பாதியான வாங்கினாக்கா we can break even. நீங்கள் வாங்க காமிக்கிறேன்னா he showed me hundreds of MPhil PhD thesis from Annavan University, Madurai Kamaraj University, and all on Tamil literature research on Kalyanasundaram, இலப்பியா, ஒப்பாய்வு, கம்பேரிட்டிவ் அனாலிசிஸ் நிறைய தீஸ் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. என்னை ஃப்ரீயாகவே பப்ளிஷ் பண்ண சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. நான் அதை போட்டு யாரும் வாங்கிறதுக்கு ஆள் இல்லை, நான் என்ன பண்ணுறது அப்படின்னா a lot of people, even Parinjalayam, it was the same story. So it was kind of troublesome for me that we talk so much about heritage. And இன்னைக்கு இல்லைன்னா another 50 years, today we are dependent on the libraries. And then even the library books, after some time, when the book is more than 50 years old, they start falling apart and they don't even let you touch it. And I have seen in British Library, they have a lot of books published 100 years ago, and you need to know the librarian. I happen to know the curator for Asia collection, Narni Parsadne. She was a nice lady. She let me borrow and look at them, even make photocopies. But I have been given to one time in Saraswati Mahal Library in Tanjore. I was interested in some old city like Pillathamil Amma Night for digitized. அங்கே வச்சுருந்தாங்க, அதை காப்பி பண்ணி கொடுக்க சொன்னேன், ஃபோட்டோ காப்பி பண்ணி. அதுக்கே நான் வெளியூரில் வந்திருக்கேன், நாள் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன். நீங்கள் கலெக்டர் கிளம்ப பர்மிஷன் வாங்கிடுவாங்க. என்ன சார் ஃபோட்டோ காப்பி பண்ணுறதுக்கு எதுக்கு சார் கலெக்டர் கிட்ட போடணுன்னாங்க. ஐம் நாட் ஸ்டீலிங் அண்ட் டேக்கிங் த ஹோல் புக் அவே. அன்றைக்கி கலெக்டர் ஊரில் இல்லை. ஸோ ஐம் நாட் Tanjore for ever. So I couldn't get, and I found it's a kind of, this kind of bureaucratic thing is sometimes very frustrating. So I said, well, I was in Coimbatore. I happen to know the grandson of Pollachi Malingam. So அவர் கையில் I lamented him, சார் இது மாதிரி பேத்தட்டிக்காக இருக்குன்னு. ஐயோ அப்படியான்னு சொல்லிட்டு he said, I will pay for it ன்னு சொல்லி he called வானதி பதிப்பகம். He told them, okay, I give you 2 lakh, 3 lakh, you print them and you sell it if you make money with that, but I pay the printing cost. I'm told he sponsored. So in 2 வருஷம் கழிச்சு when I came, Vanadi Padipam published. So I bought the 20 volumes. So I didn't have anything else. My baggage was just books. So I was happy that I could buy 21 volumes of Pannir Tirumurai, and because I wanted to have them digital. And that's how the whole thing came about. And there were people, at that time we had a Tamil mailing list called Tamil.net. Singapore, Malaysia, there was some Bala Pillai there. So who was the one where many people we were interacting. Otherwise, you can post in destination was in Tamil. Muthu, many of us, even Badri was there. And so many of us, we interacted through the Tamil.net. After that, somebody said that, Kalyan, you are doing it alone. Why can't we all join together to a crowd-based initiative? What I can work on some. There are people like our Sunnamari, there was a group who was interested in Nalar Divya Prabandham. Tennessee, there was a Parsadi Dilipandan there. It's a very, he was a professor of business in the management school. And he collected a lot of people to type Divya Prabandham. Many people, I think, probably even Badri was involved with it one time. So, Gopu. So, Parsadi Dilipan, he took initiative to bring digitally Divya Prabandham. So, there was a lot of scattered efforts. We said, why can't we all? At that time, I don't think even the crowdsourcing term existed, but just wanted to join together. And that's how we started in Pogal 98. Since I was already onto this, I said, well, so I agreed to be the project leader. And so since then, we have been onto it to digitize. So one time, I used to have even a logo, a scrolling logo in. It used to have symbols கொடுத்தால் குறையாதது காலத்தால் அழியாதது சந்தங்களால் வேகாதது மின்பதிப்பு அப்படின்னு. And it had a printed book. I can make a copy, give it to you, keeping my, so I don't lose anything by. And this is the way, I don't know, it's like a printed book, it's going to falling apart. As long as somebody makes the digital copies, it'll be preserved. And there was a Jaffna library which got burnt out. So many Sri Lankans, when you talk to them, they are very emotional that a lot of Sri Lankan literature disappeared because they all had done one library. So we had something around so it was that's the nice thing about digital text. And so this is the website, projectmadurai.org. I'm still doing with that. So if you go there, you can find the list of some 1,200 Tamil words which are there, from Kambaramayam to everything there. We covered all the main ones. There is even a little box there on the top. If you type a Bharati, it will give you all. If you type Tamil Dudu, then it will give you all the Dudu. So even if you don't want to go through, you can search. That's one nice thing about digital text is that I can tell if a word is there or not. அந்த காலத்தான் சிலப்பதிகாரத்தில் ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட வார்த்தை இருக்குன்னா அதை கரைச்சி குடித்தவங்களால் தான் சொல்ல முடியும். But today, anybody can tell by searching. Maybe the switch off.
Power வரலன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். சப்ளை இல்லை நினைக்கிறேன்.
இங்க முன்னால இருக்கு அது. I know it's a problem I have with that now. It's not storing, it just keeps bleeding. Yeah, I don't mind. So here you have web page of HTML and also as a PDF. The problem Tamil PDF என்னன்னா, even today you cannot copy paste, but it doesn't come very well. There are some technical issues. The way Adobe stores, they put the thing for Indian languages. So அதனால we put the HTML page. So the HTML page you can always. So many people they say that I want to extract. So the PDF is nice as a formatted text to read or print, but copy paste is an issue. So I always put HTML and both of them there. Okay.
Bottom button. கீழே உள்ளது. Down arrow. போயிடுச்சு. இருக்கு power. இதெல்லாம் system. click பண்ணுங்க.
Okay.
Next.
So you can always go to this projectmathuri.org. You can download them. Next one. Even you can do it from the
Stuck ஆயிடுச்சு.
நகரவே இல்லை. ஸ்க்ரீன்ல இது நகரவே இல்லை. This mouse is disconnected, no?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we started with the Sargam literature. Padranganakku, Kapiyangal, Puranangal, Neethi Nurgal. So there is, we basically try to cover all genres. And since it's a digital library, we never want to, it's only for Soviet literature, Western or Christianity or early period or, so we have from Sangam period to Kalki novels and we have many of 20. The only rule is that the work should be in public domain. And for some work where authors have given permission, we also include them. So for contemporary works, if the authors are willing to give permission, then we include them. Some we assuming that we from TVA we put them, but then some authors they complain that I never gave you permission. So recently I even pulled some of them out. So people are sensitive about it. And so since ours is purely voluntary, we never collect a paisa from anybody. And I pay for the server myself. And it's very widely used to site. And so whoever who works on, they're also purely voluntary. So I tell them that we never have any money to pay any royalty to anybody. So we are just language lovers. So if you want to join the group, yes, welcome. But that's how it works. So now recently we are focusing on Sittalakkam Prabandha Vaigal. These are small ones. You have Ahval Nandadi, Atrupade, Kalabagam, Kalitore, Ammane. So there are 80 variety. And Sittalakkam is very common. Benba Ilakkanam தெரிஞ்சவங்க, the first exercise for anybody is to start writing. ஏன்னா இது பார்த்தோம் எந்த நூலாக இருந்தாலும் 100 பாக்கள் தான் இருக்கும். பிள்ளைத்தழை, அம்மானை, தூது, கலம்பகம், அகவல்லா, குரம், and பிள்ளைத்தமிழ். And பிள்ளைத்தமிழ் is a little bit bigger, longer. But so அதனால there are several thousand prabandham. But bottom is that you don't go, you cannot buy them. They are there in small books in the library. So we have now a few hundred of them. So I have a list of 2,000. So I would like to get the whole Prabandham literature online. As I said, the nice thing is that it's a compact. What do you mean by compact? As a readable text. இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இதில் I have 16 works. The PDF, it's about 700 MB, like a whole CD. But when I make a machine readable text as HTML or PDF, it's only 16 or 18. So they are much, much smaller compared to. It's roughly about 3-4 KB per page. Now, Google says how the people are using it from mobile. So if you want to take everything deliverable on mobile platform, then I cannot have a 500 MB file. This, for example, ஒரு பிள்ளைத்தமிழ் is a very small work. ஆண்டாள் பிள்ளைத்தமிழ் is a small work, but if it's in high resolution, it's 65 MB. So I don't need a heavy loaded file like that. So let alone the searchable aspect of it, it's very compact if you make a machine readable one, and then I print a PDF from the vanilla text. So we have now more than 1,800 files in PDF, and they're available 24/7, so anybody can. And the interesting thing is that after 25 years, I'm still trying to fill a 700 MB normal CD. One of my friends in the US, he told me that, Kalyan, I tell you, in your lifetime, you never fill a DVD. So, which probably is true. Because the digital texts are so compact that unless I have a big 1,000 people and we try to collect some 100,000 Tamil works, one DVD is hell a lot to put. So that's the beauty about it. So it's a heavily used site. Google says we have something like 1 million page download per month. About 30,000 people they use every day. And so it varies from 1.2 to 1.5 million page download per month. And so even if it is down for a few hours, I get a lot of mails, sorry, your site is not accessible. So it's a 24-year work, but it's, for me, the personal satisfaction was, we hear about a lot of works, Jivasundamani or Peripuranam, but you need one-line statements in இலக்கிய வரலாறு இதில் எத்தனை நாலு காண்டம் இருக்குது இவ்வளோ வருஷம் இருக்குன்னு பட் it's a nice feeling to see what exactly it is other than going them by the name. Okay, now I want to talk about other things. So up to now I'm talking about handling data in Tamil and a digital library in Tamil. But we want to go one step further. And I said in the beginning, we want computers to understand Tamil as it does English. And this is the area what is known as natural language processing. In computational linguistics, we call the NLP, இயற்கை மொழி ஆய்வு. And what this NLP tries to do is, it tries to understand the Tamil text the way it understands English. Startup, for example, I have a Avan into Pallikki Chandran. I can do a partial speech diagram. I can say Avan is the noun, Chandran is the verb, past tense, Pallikki is the object. So I can do like what we teach in school. What is the noun, what is the verb, what is the adjective, and that verb. And I can do that. And this is called a partial speech diagram. அது எதுக்கு பண்ணணும்னா, if I want to do a machine translation. So I thought, I went into Pallikki Chandran, I can translate, he went to school today. And how does the computer does it? If I do a partial speech diagram, so Avan, I say it's third person singular masculine. If I have good dictionary, I can go third person singular masculine is Avan. Went on is the past tense of the verb to go. So I can find it's the verb to go and when. And then you have the language ordering. And the nice thing about Tamil is known as the agglutinative language. The beauty Nana, the word order doesn't matter. Avan into Palliki Chandan, Chandra Avan to Palliki. So even if you permit the words around, you don't miss the meaning. There are only a few languages, Turkish, Finnish, and all, they are agglutinative. And so this has an implication from mission language. As I said, I can do a part of speech tagger. I can use the grammar dictionary to reconstruct in my target language, but then I need to reorder them away the language is written. English or the Tamil varena, for example, I need to conjugate ponan, povargal, ponargal, povargal. So I need to conjugate the verb, but that is linked to the noun. So I need to have the computer understand this grammar. So if I want to do machine translation, then I need to go through this language tools. The first one is the part of speech tagger. Other one is the morphological syntax analyzer. And named entity recognition. But in the Palli kitchen, Palli, you can find it in the dictionary. Ramashna machine Palli Ramashna, you will never find it. That's a proper name. And they call it as a named entity. So in addition to the dictionary having nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and also have the conjugated versions, then the named entity is something where you need to have a big named entities, like the names of all the villages. He went to Tanjore today, and then the Tanjore, it doesn't know what to do with it, because Tanjore is a named entity. And the emotion detection, அவன் என்று கோபமா பேசினான் அப்படின்னா அதில் எமோஷன். அவன் பள்ளிக்கு சொன்னால் there is no emotion involved. So how to convey the emotion part of it? There are many aspects of it, how you train the computer to understand your language. And this is a growing area. We need a lot of lexical resources, what they call. We need a lot of e-dictionary. And then we also do what is known as a tagged corpus. So you can take, for example, Ponniyin Selvan Eduthinal. Every word, there are a million words. But I can have to tag each word, noun, verb, adjective, whatever it is. This is called tokenization. Once I did that, that's a fantastic resource for artificial intelligence, machine translation. Because if once I have, this is how the Google does, it's machine translation. When you go to Google and you translate Tamil to English, it does a string comparison with the tokenization. And it doesn't do a grammar-based translation. So there are many ways you can do this machine translation. The rule-based translation usually is more slow, it's involved. So Google does it. If you have a large database, a parallel corpus, then you can do that. Okay. So that's where we are heading to. And so there are many tools of NLP which people are working on. Amrita in Coimbatore, for example, they have a big group. They are working on Tamil linguistics, where you can find a lot of tools like I mentioned before. This, for example, is a character analyzer. தமிழ்நாடுன்னு அடிச்சோன்னா ஒரு எழுத்துக்கும் அதை குறிலா நெடிலா it can pull out, and then similarly you have that past tagger. So I type a sentence and it will give me which is noun, which is not which. So I do like in English. Okay. So for example, Anna University in Crumpet, they have a big part of speech corpus. They even have a software which you can use to do this kind of part of speech tagger. WordNet is a big database of words which are tokenized. for language analysis. So you have other tools, parts of speech. So this is once I do that, I have a lot of tools where I can teach the computer what the words are, what their interrelationship are. That's the main thing. Because eventually in AI, deep learning, machine learning, if I start writing a sentence, I want the computer to understand the interrelationship between the words. I want Pallikuna that it knows it's waiting for a verb. Because my sentence is not complete. But you can tell, but then I want computer to learn that as I start writing, it should understand the words, but it should also understand the interrelationship between the words. And once you do that, then you get to a stage where we have, நம்ம ஸ்கூலில் படிக்கும்போது we do the reading comprehension. ஒரு பேராகிராஃப், ஒரு கதையை எடுத்துட்டு 4 வரியில் சுருக்கமாக எழுது. ஸோ we can summarize. இப்போ நான் ஒன்றா பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன், என்ன பண்ணால் கல்யாணசுந்தரம் தமிழ் கருணையை பற்றி பேசினார் அப்படின்னு ஒரு வார்த்தை. You summarize. And I can do the other way around. I give keywords. ஸ்கூல் வருவாங்க, இதை வச்சுட்டு ஒரு கட்டுரை எழுது, கதை எழுது. So we do that. We can summarize because we know which are the keywords, which are the key sentences, and then we pull it and then we try to make a summary, and then we work the other way around. And this is what machine learning is. You try to understand the words. And deep learning, I train so that it understands the interrelationship so that it can go one step further. Okay, that's what all these. So what we would like to do is a machine translation. I would like to do text-to-speech, voice recognition. So today we have a lot of tools where I can speak and it can record in Tamil. And I can give a Tamil text it can read. For example, long time back, Professor Ramakrishnan from IST Bangalore, he made a nice software for blind people. You can send an email in Tamil, it reaches out to him. And I have a close friend in Geneva for many years. The guy is totally blind. But he uses computers, he uses mobile, because a lot of them are voice activated, including Tamil. So this is what computer science call it assistive technologies. So assistive technology is bringing technology that you and I use to people who are physically challenged. And like a voice activation is something where, for example, I saw in Singapore, they have developed a nice smart stick for blind people. Otherwise, you can say, I want to go to Pizza Hut in Adyar. It takes my input, it understands, it goes to Google research, it finds the Pizza Hut near in Adyar, you know where I am, and then it tells me you want to go by bus or walk. Then it tells me நேரப்போ right லவா left லவா 12 நம்பர் பஸ் பிடிச்சிப்போ. So it can guide you to the end. This is for physically challenged. It's called adaptive technologies. And this is the main area of language technologies. The idea is, as I said, my friend who cannot see, but he also can use all the tools. So the language should never be a barrier. That's the whole idea. At the end of the day, people that a lot of English or German or think they cannot do it in Tamil. And so that's the focus of and all these efforts. So the machine translation people are doing in many Indian languages to Tamil to, there is an IIT Hyderabad, there is a Professor Rajesh Sangalne. He had done a couple of packages where you can go to Tamil, Gujarati, Gurmukhi, and vice versa. Number one, if you know how to do the parts of speech tagger on the grammar, if you're done for each language, then you can go across. So it's relatively easier to build that kind of systems. So the Google does the translation, but as I said, it's not a rule-based translation. But you need a big corpus That's what we are trying to do for machine learning. I'm working with people at Coimbatore who are on AI to build a big mission-readable corporate data for Tamil. So it's a button of OCR. So the text-to-speech again, this is a nice website you can go to. It's called narki.com. And you can type in Tamil whatever you want. And you can download a audio file. And so if you want to send an audio message, you can even listen to it. And it does both ways. You can even speak to it. It will give the text. So there are many tools now which are available where you can interact directly in your mother tongue. Professor Nagarajan in SSN here, she had done a lot of work on this language technologies. And particularly he has been focusing work on physically challenged people. Stammering இருக்கிறவர்களுக்கெல்லாம் அவ பேசும்போது the word don't come out very well. But he has a nice package which can pick up. So he is working on a thing where a guy with the stammering can, and it can give out a normal speech. It can recognize. Because he's trying to figure out what stammering does in terms of modulation of words. And we have done a very nice work on, similarly in the IIT Madras, there is Professor Hema Murthy. She has also done a lot of nice work on speech technologies. Which again, they are more focusing on getting Tamil to physically challenged people. I mentioned this. Even government of Tamil Nadu, a year ago, they released some 10 crores to provide tools for people for physically challenged. For example, our Ramakrishnan, he made once a software where for blind people, they can even print it in Braille. If it's connected to his Braille, he can send it to a Braille like we print on a normal paper. It can print in Tamil to Braille text. So he perfected this communication system also. So it's a big field by itself, these assistive technologies, particularly for Tamil focus one. So I'm getting more and more interested to see how this works. And so I'm not, I usually tell people I'm a chemist for my bread and butter. I never studied computer science. And so beyond a certain stage now, it has got a stage, it's very technical, that I find that I have a lot of catching to do. And but it's an educative exercise. I mean, the nice thing about being in an academic institution is that education is a continuous process. It never ends, it never begins. So it's just only your interest you can decide where you draw the line. So now finally that brings us to the topic of now everybody talking about ChatGPT, chatbox. So we all started with answering surveys where you can call a company, ask for things, somebody was answering. And then when the questions became routine, they stored those questions and answers. It became the so-called chatbot. So the chatbot was a remote human to machine. So it was answering as long as your question was standard. What is my policy number or where is my branch, whatever standard questions it can answer. That was a chatbot. But now we are talking about ChatGPT where, as I said, if the computer can understand the relationship between words and go further, and I can do like what I mentioned earlier, reading comprehension, both ways, then I can get the computer to do what I want. In English, for example, you can go to ChatGPT and say, I have my daughter's birthday next week. She likes jazz music and she likes Bharatiyar, he likes playing guitar. And you can give some keywords and it can compose a poem. What I would like to do is that I would like to create a compose on Bharatiyar style. I do the same thing. Now I want to have a poem the way Bharatiya would have written. So if the computer understands the language structure of how Bharatiya songs, then we can do that. And that's where we are heading to. So it's a very, I don't have time, maybe I'm talking, I can go on and on, but maybe I just wanted to give you a broad overview of what Tamil computing is. In that, as a language, as a mother tongue, we would like to see Tamil used continuously. When the technology evolves, we want to catch up with it so that we are not left behind. And fortunately, there are a lot of people all over the world, including many in India, who are interested in networking. So it's a pleasure to work with them. And just like with the Project Madurai, for example, I mean, there is one nice lady, Meenakshi Balakrishnan, Bangalore. She works for the AstraZeneca. They make this COVID vaccines. And she's a microbiologist. She has a PhD in she and her husband. But she has a lot of interest in Pillatamir. She did even a second PhD in Pillatamir. So she is spending now a lot of time preparing Pillatamir works. So it's like there are a lot of people who are good in Tamil, interest in Tamil literature, which we have worked with that. So that's what the crowdsourcing is all about. Thank you. So maybe I will stop. I will certainly be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
தேங்க்யூ சார். ரொம்ப அற்புதமான லெக்சர், வெரி இன்ஸ்பைரிங் ஆல்சோ. ஒரு கேள்வி, அந்த ஐஏஎன்ஏல ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆன டிஸ்கி ஃபாண்ட் இன்னமும் அது ஒன்று தான் ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆன ஃபாண்ட்டா? டிஸ்கி ஃபாண்ட் விச் யூ ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஐஏஎன்ஏல?
IANA doesn't deal with fonts. It deals with the language encoding.
Encoding,
Yes.
yeah. So when Unicode went through that...
So ஆரம்ப காலத்தில் சொன்ன மாதிரி every language has its encoding. So they had this international agency which was coordinating with the MNCs to implement them. But now we have the so-called Unicode Consortium, which is a grouping of all the MNCs. So they decided, well, instead of dealing piecemeal wide, we have, and so the Unicode is now a kind of global custodian for. Now, for example, I've been interested in working with people on Grantha. I'm with some priests or some scholars in London who want to digitize Agama literature in Grantha. But then I didn't know much Grantha, so I learned Grantha. I made some Grantha fonts, but Grantha script rendering is a little bit involved. So I'm still learning how to render. Because it's like Kannada, Telugu, you have superscripts, subscripts, which go in multi-layers. And so I can get them in the linear form, and I'm working technologically with there's ways in which fonts you can deal with them. And so there, 3-4 years ago when I got interested, people want to preserve Agama literature in a digital form. Grantha was not encoded in Unicode. But now, there are a lot of people, they have a Grantha font, which like Tamil we had a long time ago. They took an English to Dutch font, and they removed characters put there. So there are a lot of Grantha texts. Even for example, I want somebody, Vishnu Sahasranam in Grantha, but if you don't have the Grantha font, it's called Kunjita Badam or something. And it was showing in English as a garbled up text. But if you put the Kunjita Badam Grantha font, it displays So I collected a couple of simple texts, but I know the text. Then some Agava where I don't know what it is. And if you don't know the language, I don't know the thing, then it's blinding leading the blind. So I want to start with some sloka which I understand so I can read the script. In Tamil, I can read it in Sanskrit, but then I can also read in Grantha, then to fine tune my font. So the Grantha now they have encoded it in Unicode. And now people are talking about epigraphic fonts also in there. So with time, it's open-ended, but Unicode they have blocked for language, but then there is a user-defined area. There's a big block there where you have, now people are, for example, I have a friend from Ooty. He is interested in Konkani. And that's the thing which is again some of these tribal languages where they speak. It's again without script. Yeah, you have a thing where with the present generation who are speaking, you have the risk unless you preserve the script, and you have a lot of literature to keep the younger generation exposed, then you have the risk. But then there again, there is some initiative. I think with a lot of Kannadigas, how you can define an encoding and how to get them eventually into the Unicode, because it's there are ways you can do them. So I work with a lot of people on enabling other Indic scripts. There is one Dr. Naga Ganesan in Houston. He is aeronautical engineer from IIT Madras. He is a big manager for NASA, sending rocket to the moon lander. So he is managing some 1,200 people in Houston. But then he is a strong Tamil guy, and he works a lot on Unicode, trying to encode rarely used languages in the user-defined encode. The idea is we want to preserve as much legacy scripts, legacy languages, archaic, which probably you cannot directly use them on the computers. But as I said, it's like Tamil. If they want to compete, to understand, you have to come through an encoding and wait for a few years for system update, and then it will do it. For example, now already on Mac, it understands Grantha. Even though, as I said, I took one of the hacked Vishnu Sahasranama and I converted it into Grantha Unicode. I don't have Unicode for, but then I pulled it on Mac OS. That one I was surprised that it picked an Arial font with the Grantha block to show it, because it understands Grantha as a language. So that's the way to go. And so you can do that, but yes, there are mechanisms. But this is the way, people are getting into Unicode. It's no longer tinkering with separate IA and A. So in that respect, IA is a kind of a defunct agency, kind of superseded by Unicode.
Thank you.
Thanks for an excellent overview. I missed attending the last week conference. I think you have given me a beautiful gist of the entire conference in a nutshell. Thank you for that. If you look at technological advances in terms of scripts slightly on a deviant path, now IAST, Kyoto, all this is now getting merged into Unicode, and they are slowly integrating all the phonetics based languages into a single structure. So where are we at, how far you see that the world will have only one single Unicode script which can represent almost all the languages?
It's quite, because at the system level, it's a catch-22 situation.
Right.
You can't expect the computer to support the language unless you have documents, user groups
Right.
who take initiative to get that language into the thing. And so the computer will remain illiterate till Unicode. But Unicode is there unless somebody puts it there.
Yeah.
And then again, you need to have some user groups.
Yeah, when
So
people are
this is what's
comfortable with
happening now.
Tamil,
Yeah.
when people are comfortable with the Tamil Unicode font, there will be natural resistance to go to a different Unicode which encompasses all languages.
No, but people talk about the script reform. It's just like you talk about Tamil. People still like to talk about script reforms, but then we have reached a stage now that script reform, for me personally, it's a kind of emotional ego exercise.
Yeah.
Because in terms of message you want to convey, say you want to convey Gita, whether you write it in an exotic script the way you do, or I write it in the way everybody does, if the ultimate goal is to get the message of Gita in there, then why burn ourselves reinventing the wheel? But then people are, even today, as I said, emotional that Unicode does not expect language order. Unfortunately, yes. But then I tell people that you missed the bus, but you have to pay a consequence. And I said, look, I mean, even today, I mean, it's like governments make a statement that Tamil Nadu is Tamil. We are the sovereign. We are the supreme. But that is technology feels it's an empty statement.
Yeah,
But
more
then
than technology
it's ego.
challenges,
It's
the
ego.
emotional challenges are more.
Yes. But then there are ways you can, except that the international organizations are not closed to doors. But there are ways in which them you can deal with them to bring changes. And sometimes it can be time consuming. But then things like Unicode, which are now managed by Microsoft and all this, you can scream, but they said you are not the only language. There are hundreds of languages, hundreds of countries, thousands of languages. So they said, okay, I mean, you can, one more guy, you can come join the Unicode proceedings, but then we have standard procedures and protocols. If you follow that, yes, we will. That way, Naga Ganesan, he spends a lot of time bringing missed letters in manuscripts. It's amazing that he spends time to learn many. For example, when people, some friends of me talk about Konkani, I mean, I had to learn. I don't even know how the script looks like, or like Grantha. Every time you go into a new language, it's a process. It takes time to understand, let alone the niceties. And but he is somebody who is kind of devoted to it. You need more people like that. But yes, you can. But
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we can wrap it up then.
Thank you, sir. Fascinating lecture. ஒரு கெமிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் ரெப்யூட் நீங்கள் கம்ப்யூட்டிங்லேயே இவ்வளவு விஷயம் பண்ணியிருக்கிறது இட்ஸ் ரிமார்க்கபிள். ஐ திங்க் இட்ஸ் அ லெசன் ஃபார் ஆல் ஆஃப் அஸ் ஹியர் தட் லேர்னிங் நெவர் ஸ்டாப்ஸ். நீங்கள் இன்னும் கிரந்தம் கற்றுக்கிறேங்கிறது ஆல் த மோர். ஸோ தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச் ஃபார் திஸ் ஃபேசினேட்டிங் லெக்சர். அண்ட் ஐ திங்க் யூடியூப்ல இன்னும் நிறைய பேர் இதை பார்த்து அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்னைக்கு ஐ வாஸ் ஹோப்பிங் மெனி பீப்புள் வில் கேட்ச் இட் லைவ் ஆன் யூடியூப், பட் சாட்டர்டே மார்னிங் ஐ டோன்ட் see many people live on YouTube. No, there is no questions there. I request Srimati Gauri for giving our speaker a token of our appreciation. Gauri has been the we will. So Gauri has been the sponsor for today's speech as well as for the past several speeches. Thank you, Gauri ma'am. Okay, Anant will
Thank you.
yeah, as a small token of our appreciation to our speaker today. Thank you all. Thanks to all of you for making it. So now Gopu will wrap up with a surprise poem.
I don't want it to be a one-time thing. that I go away, but it can be a continuous dialogue. You can always contact me by email, and it's a kkalyanas@gmail.com. And you can get me on WhatsApp also. So I will be happy to discuss whatever shared interests are. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now Gopu will read a small வாழ்த்துரை for today's speaker.
ஆக்சுவலி இது அவருக்கு மட்டும் இல்லை, இதை நான் இந்த சவிதாலையும் பண்ணேன். தமிழ் பழங்காலத்தில் வந்து எதில் வந்திருக்குன்னு தெரியாது, வாய்மொழி மரபில் வந்திருக்கு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஓலைச்சுவடி, கல்வெட்டு, செப்பேடு இதெல்லாம் வந்திருக்கு. ஒரு 200 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி பேப்பரில் வந்து பிரிண்ட் அச்சில் வந்தது. இப்போ ஒரு 30-40 வருஷமாக அடுத்த ஃபார்மேட் கம்ப்யூட்டரில் ஏறி வந்திருக்கு. ஸோ இது வந்து பல்வேறு துறைகளில் இப்படி வந்திருக்கு. அந்த ஓலைச்சுவடிக்கு வந்து நம்ம உவே சாமிநாதர் வந்து நிறைய பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணாரு, நம்ம அச்சு கொண்டு வந்தான்னு தெரியும். அவருக்கு முன்னாடியே மேக்கன்சின்னு ஒருத்தரும் பண்ணியிருந்தார் ஒரு 100 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி. நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட் ஓரியன்டல் மேனுஸ்கிரிப்ட்ஸ் லைப்ரரிக்கு போனீங்கன்னா காலின் மேக்கன்சி கலெக்ஷன் பேர் அதுக்கு. அவர் நிறைய ஓலைச்சுவடி கலெக்ட் பண்ணி அதில் பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணியிருந்தாரு. ஒரு 4-5 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி அவர் வந்து ஃபேஸ்புக்கில் கல்யாணசுந்தரம் சார் வந்து எழுதியிருந்தார், ப்ராஜெக்ட் மதுரையுடைய 20வது வருஷம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி 2018 இல்லையா. ஸோ அது வந்தது. ஸோ இட் இன்ஸ்பயர்ட் மீ. அப்போ நான் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணியிருக்கவங்க, ப்ராஜெக்ட் மதுரையில் எழுதுறவங்க, விக்கிபீடியாவில் எழுதுறவங்க, இந்த மாதிரி வினோத்ராஜன், உதயசங்கர் மாதிரி ஃபாண்ட்ஸ் பண்ணுறவங்க, ஸ்ரீனிவாசன் சார், முத்து நெடுமாறன், நிறைய பேர் எத்தனையோ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இன்டர்நெட்டில் வீடியோ பண்ணுறது, இந்த கமிட்டி டிஸ்கஷன் எல்லாம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வந்து சங்க காலத்துலேருந்து இது வரைக்கும் தமிழுக்கு என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்களோ அவங்களுக்கு அவர் சொன்னார் இல்லையா, பன்னிரு திருமுறை தேடி தேடி அலைஞ்சேன், கிட்டத்தட்ட நம்பியாண்டார் நம்பி மாதிரியும் சேக்கிழார் மாதிரியும் அவரும் பாவம் அதுக்கு இது பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தார், தேட வேண்டியிருந்தது. சுந்தரமூர்த்தி நாயனார் ஒரு பதிகம் பாடிப்பார், அதுதான் நம்ம வந்து வரலாற்றையே முதல்ல ஒரு தொகை அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். தில்லைவாழந்தனர்த்தம் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், திருநீல கண்டர்த்தம் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன்னு அந்த நாயன்மார்கள் 62 பேரை தொகுத்திருப்பாரு. நம்பியாண்டார் நம்பியும் பின்னாடி சேக்கிழாரும், அந்த 62யும் சுந்தரமூர்த்தியும் சேர்த்து 63 நாயன்மார்கள், அப்புறம் தொகை நாயனார்கள் சொல்றோம். அந்த பாடலும் இவங்க செஞ்சதுக்கும் எனக்கு இன்ஸ்பிரேஷன் இருந்ததுனால, சங்கத்தமிழ் செய்த புலவர்க்கும் அடியேன், மங்காது அவை காத்த மரபினருக்கும் அடியேன், எச்சமய தமிழ்குறவர் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், இச்சமயும் கற்றுகளும் மாணவர்க்கும் அடியேன், செப்போலை கற்பொறித்த செந்தமிழருக்கு அடியேன், ஒப்பில்லா மேக்கன்சி சாமிநாதருக்கு அடியேன், அணையாமல் சுடர்காக்கும் அன்பர்க்கும் அடியேன், இணையவலை தமிழ் ஏற்றும் பணியார்க்கும் அடியேன் அப்படின்னு ஒரு 8 வரி கொண்டு எழுதினேன். அது அப்ரோப்ரியேட்டாக இருக்கும்னு ஐ வில் சென்ட் சார். ஸோ அதை வாழ்த்துறையாக அதை எடுத்துக்கொள்ள வேண்டும். இப்பொழுது வோட் ஆஃப் தேங்க்ஸ்க்கு
கோபு ஒரு சைவ சமயத்திலையும் எக்ஸ்பர்ட் அப்படிங்கிறது இன்னைக்கு தான் தெரியுது. அவர் ஒரு வைணவர்னு நினைச்சோம். வந்திருக்கிற எல்லா ஆடியன்ஸ்ல எல்லாருக்கும் நன்றி. இன்னைக்கு சாட்டர்டே மார்னிங் இவ்வளோ பேர் வந்திருக்கிறது, வி ஆர் ஸோ ஹாப்பி. ஒரு வி ஹாவ் ஏதாவது லாஸ்ட் டாக் வந்து ஜூன்லேயோ ஜூலைலேயோ இருந்தது, ஆஃப்டர் அ லாங் கேப். இன்னைக்கு இந்த டாக் ரொம்ப ஃபிட்டிங்காக இருந்தது, ரொம்ப நாளாக இருந்தது. ஸோ வி ஹோப் டு கண்டினியூ திஸ். ஸோ ஹோப்ஃபுல்லி நெக்ஸ்ட் மந்த் இருக்கும்னு நம்புகிறோம். வி வில் மேக் தி அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட், வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப்ஸ், அவர் blogல, Facebook pageலலாம் we will make the announcement. Look forward to seeing you all in our next lecture. Thank you all, and thank you.